All right, today's episode is the influence of childhood and life experiences as men. Did you know men growing up are often shaped long before we realize it? Basically, like childhood experiences, family dynamics, role models, success, failures, traumas, and life lessons, right? They all contribute to how we view ourselves in relationships and masculinity and the world around us, right? I've learned that many beliefs in men carry in today's day and age were formed in the earliest years, even if they never stopped to examine them. Meaning, like my dad told me how to be a man, but at the same time, that was in his era, that was in his age. Now in the 21st century, it's a little bit different. Not saying that it's that we got to change it. It's just you got to figure out and find out who you're going to be and what are you going to take from those, right? So if you're going to be the if you're going to be the traditional man or if you're going to be the updated traditional man, meaning what are you going to take from what your dad told you or your father figure told you or even your role model told you and implement that into who you are going to be, not who they want you to be, into who you want to be, right? And most often the messages that we received growing up were anything from what we were taught about being a man, what emotions encouraged or discouraged us. Did we even learn that strength meant resilience or silence? Like we didn't know what the difference was. We didn't even know. We even got the phrase of men grow up hearing phrases like man up, boys don't cry, handle it yourself, even be tough, right? I know I have. And these messages often shaped how men deal with emotions later in life because, the more repetition you do, the more it becomes you, right? So if your role model, your dad, whoever the parental figure role model is, if they keep instilling that in you, like, hey, men don't cry, or hey, hold your emotions, or hey, be tough. Yes, we're not gonna question it, but as we're older, it's like, okay, we don't our role model's not our role model anymore. Now our role model can be our equal, right? Because our role model, now we know why our role model told us not to, handle our emotions in a certain way and to be tough and to say man up because there was a deeper meaning, but we didn't know that deeper meaning until we became that adult, right? And often this is always a question that I've seen is that what was the biggest lesson you've learned about being a man growing up? And this one hits home because the biggest lesson is that realistically, I wasn't taught to be the man, right? Because my dad wasn't around in the sense of he was always working, right? He would come home late. He would do what he needed to do, said, hey, I love you, son. And that was it. We wouldn't talk. We wouldn't do nothing. So for me, this question hits hard because it's like, I didn't learn anything and I didn't have a role model growing up, right? So how could I learn how to be a man at an early age, at a young age when I didn't have nothing or no one to look up to? So I just went through life as casually and as, any child would be, with no worries in the world. And that's basically the impact of what father figures and role models are important in your life. Obviously I didn't have a father figure, so to say. I had coaches, I had mentors, and I had older, men in my life that could influence me, but I didn't trust them. Why? Because, I didn't know. I didn't know any better because it's like, why are you going to tell me something that, I'm not going to be there for? I would have to be in a room well, not even in a room, I would just have to see why. I would really question, why are you telling me to do this? Or I was always questioning everything people would tell me because I didn't have a reason, to not question them, right? And also, a positive role model. I didn't know what a positive role model is because, my positive role model was just my dad coming home telling me that, did I do my homework? Did I, treat everybody right? Did I respect the women? Did everything that, a man is supposed to, but I was never, explained to. I was never understood to because for someone like me that has, ADHD, I need things to be broken down to the littlest things, right? So I'm pretty sure some people can understand and some people can't. So the impact of a father figure and role models really affected me growing up. Why? Because my father wasn't the typical father figure that you would, normally see or even know, because he would just go to work in the morning. He would tell me, "Hey, make sure you go to school, you respect your elders, you treat the women right, and you do what you got to do." And I was like, "Okay." Didn't question it, didn't do nothing. So I didn't have those, father figures or coach or mentors or anything like that growing up. So as a boy growing up, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to lead, so to say, and I didn't even have a positive role model because, like I said, my dad was always busy working. So how can I have a positive role model that can teach me what responsibility, what discipline, what confidence, and what integrity is when he's busy putting food on the table, when he's busy making money, when he's busy doing everything a traditional man is supposed to do, right? And then there's also the negative experiences that can create, the negative experiences that I've encountered, which were insecurities, fear, or even unhealthy coping mechanisms because I didn't have, like I said, that role model, that father figure, that mentor that would be like, hey, it's okay to feel this way. Hey, it's okay to do that. Hey, it's okay to do this, because me being, who I am, which I'm going to, be open about, is that, I have ADHD and, some people can relate. For me personally, I need things to be broken down into to where I can understand. So it's like, okay, why am I feeling insecure? Why am I afraid of this? Or why am I using these things, these, unhealthy habits of coping, right? So I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to explain it to my father because when I would, he would just dismiss it. He would just be like, it's okay, just bottle up all that emotion and just push it down. Right. And I was like, no, this, like, to me, it was common sense. It's like, I'm not feeling myself. I'm not feeling my happy self. I'm not feeling my, energetic self. I'm feeling very down, very drained, very negative, and even to a certain extent, even suicidal, because it's like, what if I'm, why is no one else feeling the way I'm feeling? Because I would tell people and some people would be like, no, whether they were telling me the truth or lying to me. It's like, well, no one else feels like they want to, kill themselves. No one else feels negative. No one else feels like this. So how come I'm the only one? Right. So that's where, the impact of a father figure and positive role models come into play. And this is a key point that I've, like to emphasize. Whether present or absent, father figures often leave a lasting impact, right? Because, and I can say that for myself, I'm not saying that my father figure was a positive or negative. It's just he was doing what he was supposed to do, being a provider, and not a, father figure. He wasn't being that emotional support that I needed because he was always busy, and then my mom was busy. So it's like, who could I talk to, right? And at an early age, as kids, it's like, okay, if I can't talk to my mom or dad, then I guess, I just bottle up these emotions, these questions, and just say nothing and go about life. And hopefully I can find someone, or I can talk to my friends and we can, hopefully relate, and maybe they might help me. And also, childhood experiences shape your self worth, meaning encouragement can build confidence. Constant criticism can create self doubt as well. And also, feeling accepted helps develop security. Feeling rejected also can Feeling rejected can also lead to a lifelong search of validation. So I can tell you from experience that all these key points shaped me into someone that I was not. So like I said with the first one, encouragement builds confidence. I didn't get that encouragement from my parents. I always got that constant criticism from myself of self-doubt. I also didn't feel accepted in any party, in any group because of, my condition of ADHD, right? We are a different type of person. We think in a different type of spectrum than the normal kids. Instead of just thinking white and black, we think of the gray. We don't think inside the box. We think outside the box and more. So for me growing up, it was hard for me to relate to anybody because nobody wanted to think outside the box, or if they wanted to, they were shunned from it, or they were told like, no, don't be thinking like that, or hey, just think of, life like this, don't think of the extras. So it's like, so you're saying my way of thinking is not valid? You're saying my way of thinking is not right? Is that what I'm hearing right? But there was no yes or no answer. It's just don't think like that, think like this. And it was coming from a deeper meaning in the sense of like, life is not going to be like this. Life is going to be like that, in the sense of like, you got to listen, you got to, follow the rules. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm following the rules. I'm not breaking them, but this person is breaking them and they're still, getting the rewards that they shouldn't deserve. So it's like, the common sense is not common sense. And I'm not saying to break the rules either. It's just that, growing up as a kid, you see both sides of the coin and you're like, well, which one am I going to follow? Am I going to follow the person that follows the rules, or am I going to follow the person that breaks the rules? Am I going to follow the person that follows the rules and doesn't get to the objective right away? Or am I going to follow the person that breaks the rules and gets to their objective or gets to what they want, right? And also, seeking that validation. That's the one thing I can honestly say as a man. Sometimes, especially I'll be, open about it. That's what I did. I was seeking validation where validation shouldn't have been seeked. Like I should have known that, what I'm doing is right. And if, even though I'm not doing it, it's okay. I'm figuring out what type of road I'm taking instead of just seeking that validation, because everybody has a different meaning of everything, right? So if you're seeking that validation, that means you're not confident in yourself. You're not competent. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to think. So you're basically questioning your thought process. You're like, okay, am I going this route? I should talk to someone about it. Maybe they might give me a different perspective, which is okay. But you're seeking a validation where the validation shouldn't be sought. You should just do what you got to do. And if it's the right thing to you, then hey, by all means, test it out. If it works, good. If it doesn't, good. Now you know an option, a route, an avenue that's not for you. Now, instead of when you come to a situation like that, you think the opposite because you already did what your mind already said. So it's like, okay, if I already did this thing, let me do the opposite then, instead of just that one thing. Exhaust all options instead of just that one option. And then the last one is trauma and adversity. And this is what I've noticed and I've seen in some cases, especially I would say mine, is divorce, loss, negligence, abuse, bullying, or even financial hardships can leave lasting effects. So I was bullied. I mean, who wasn't, right? Growing up, we were all bullied in some way, shape, or form. And that, taught me to be a little bit tougher. It taught me to be a little bit more resilient. And it taught me to be more sure of myself, instead of saying, okay, you know what? I'm not going to let the bully me. I'm a bully the bully. Because at the end of the day, it's like there's something wrong with that bully to bully me. Because he wants the attention, is what I figured out. He wants to be known by everybody that he's the dominant one, that he's the cool one, that he's this. But no, once you stand up, you either fight or you don't. You become what that bully says that and does. And it's like, no, if you stand up for yourself and you say, hey, look, I'm not what you say I am, I would appreciate it if you wouldn't do that, and you walk away. Or if you're the person that, says, hey, you know what, let's stand here and let's duke it out. Let's get in a fist fight. And hey, May the best man win. But now in day and age, you can't do that. So it's like, so how do we overcome that? So, you just set the boundaries. You pay no attention to them. Like, hey, bully, I'm not the things that you say you are, but the more you continue to say it, the more I'm not going to pay attention. I'm not going to allow you to say those bad things, but at the same time, I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to say anything else. Because why? Because that's not the man I am. That's not the person I want to become. You're trying to make me a person I'm not, but it's okay. I'm not that person. And those that are in your corner that believe you will believe you. And those that won't, because you can't please everybody. So you're going to let the haters hate and the motivators motivate, right? And others learn to suppress emotions as a survival mechanism, meaning, you know, others learn to suppress emotions as a survival mechanism, meaning you have all these emotions, you have all these thoughts, and instead of just, letting them all out, you just suppress them, and you're just going to be like, okay, if I just suppress all my emotions, I can make it through the day. I'm not going to act on them. I'm not going to do anything because I've already done that prior to doing it. So let me just do it the opposite. But suppressing them is actually the worst thing that you can do, because it's like suppressing your emotions is like shaking a soda. Eventually, it's going to pop, right? Whether you like it or not, eventually it's going to pop. And when it pops, it's going to make a mess. Same thing with, suppressing your emotions. You suppress them for a long period of time. Eventually it's going to pop, and it's going to pop in a situation that's not going to be right. And it's going to go bad for you. And I'm going to leave you with this question so that you can really think about it, so that it can not hopefully help you, that it will help you. And it's going to be, and it's saying, how have your hardest experiences shaped who you are today? I'm going to say that one more time. How have your hardest experiences shaped who you are today? And with that being said, that's it for the podcast. And there will be no Q&A, but there will be answering questions from any of my followers or any of my friends or anybody. So that'll be on the next episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, and to follow. Thank you for your support. See you next time. Woo!